everybody, and welcome to a very, very special episode of the Living Richly podcast. We have a live audience here. Oh, wow. Great job. This is, of course, the first ever live recording of the Living Richly podcast. And we're here at Algonquin College in the observatory. We're in Ottawa, Canada, for anybody tuning in from around the world. Thank you so much for being here with us this evening. Or I guess it could be any time of day that you're tuning in. So 100 shows for the Living Richly podcast. This is great. I feel like James Brown. I lean back to the band. Make some noise. Huh? Okay, I'll stop. 100 shows. So in all seriousness, 100 shows is incredible. But to me, what's really, really incredible is the dedication, the passion, just the spirit behind really trying to help all of us, myself included, live a better life. And that's what these four people have done for many of us, many of you at home, and certainly all the people who've come out here tonight. It's a packed house for the 100th episode of the Living Richly podcast. So you certainly didn't come here or tune in to hear me. What we're going to do now is turn it over to our hosts of the 100th episode of the Living Richly podcast. I can't stop. It's like he's addicted. Yeah, it's too hard. What episode was that about? That was 37, I think. Okay, so give it up, please. A very warm welcome to the hosts here. You all know their names, but Wendy, Rob, Kate. I had to skip Eric. So Eric is also. I have a bit of a man crush on Eric. It's been a whole thing. But I just looked at Eric. I looked him right in the eyes. It was like looking into the ocean. It was just unbelievable. I got lost in my script, but to all of you, thank you so much for all of your work that you've done, for everything that you've done for the community, for the Living Richly Nation, which I'm a proud part of. Very proud to be here tonight and kick things off. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a huge round of applause.
Wow.
This is going to have to be a two-part episode.
This might have to be a two-part episode after all those. You guys are doing so great, and it's so cool to record this in front of a live audience. I mean, 100 shows, and we are so grateful that you've taken the time out of your busy schedules to be here tonight and to celebrate this special night with us, and it's going to be a great conversation as always. 100 shows, guys. What's it like reaching that milestone?
It's wild. It's surreal. I remember you and we were in at the farmhouse kind of mapping out and discussing this. You had your breakthrough, your really epiphany around a lot of what the model was, and then us sitting around and even whiteboarding the name of the podcast and kind of coming up and wrestling with all of that stuff and trying to figure it out, and to now be here 100 episodes later to be able to see what's happened and the amount of subscribers and just the way that this has impacted so many lives, that the people who take the time to send us notes and to respond to us has been incredible. So it's surreal is the word I would use.
Yeah, I think the passion that has come out of this, and there's so many podcasts out there, and I don't think any of us, I think we knew it was eventually going to be, but we didn't realize it would grow this fast and be so impactful to so many people so quickly. So it's just absolutely mind-blowing to where we are now.
Yeah, and I think to your point, so many podcasts don't make it to 20 episodes, 30 episodes, 40 episodes, because it's hard.
It's a lot of work.
It's a commitment, and we love it, but it is a commitment. So to be here 100 episodes in, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and many more to come, right?
Yeah.
We talk about it does require commitment. It takes folks tuning in and supporting the show. But here we find ourselves 100 episodes. We've got many more to come. But the question that I'm curious and we want to kind of share with you is, why do we do this? we don't get paid for this. This isn't, we don't make money off the podcast. We don't have sponsors other than our great sponsors that are here tonight to support this event. This is really a labor of love for all of us. But why do you do this? Why do you invest the time and energy into getting this message out of living your best life?
I felt like you were staring right at me.
I'm
gonna answer that.
Yeah, but he's always staring.
But I'm always staring at you.
And just so you know, we normally share episode notes so we know what everyone's going to say, and we did not do that tonight. So this is really interesting for us because we're going to hear for the first time too what everyone is thinking.
This is either going to be really great
or really repetitive.
or we're never doing it this way again.
I think for me, we've touched on it. It's just so meaningful for me to know that we're helping people. And we do it because we love that. We get messages all the time from people telling us, one small thing has helped somebody. And that to me is everything. The podcast allows us to expand a one-on-one conversation to a lot of people. And to know that we can reach people and maybe like one small thing brought joy because of our silly jokes and humor. Maybe it's some fact that they learned. To me, just knowing that you can help somebody is completely the passion of why I do it. But I will add that it completely fills my cup. Like selfishly, I love it. When we're done recording, I go home. I'm tired, I'm not gonna lie, but I am so full. My heart is full because I love what we are doing.
Yeah, and every time we finish recording, to your point, we're exhausted. We're usually recording 4 or 5 episodes, but there's always that group text at the end of the day from one of us that's just like, guys, this is amazing. We share so much in terms of the love for what we do and just sharing gratitude for each other to be able to do this. And Kate, I think you touched on it really well. For me, a big part of this is community. It's one of my core values. And to see people who have been able to have their paths crossed, and I know some of you here tonight have had your paths intertwined and crossed because of what's come out of the podcast, because we talk about hard stuff. We talk about stuff that a lot of other people gloss over. And we're not afraid to have those conversations. And it's really impactful to see people and hear people living their truth and showing up authentically when, for a lot of people, they go through life just coasting and they're not able to show up authentically. So that's a huge, huge passion for me.
Yeah, love that. What about you?
Well, for me, it's certainly all of this. I was kind of chuckling listening to Kate and Wendy. If you remember back to some of you that have been following the podcast for a while, their first couple of episodes, all they would do is, well, yeah, ditto what the other one would say. And I love the depth of, I'm just kind of get caught up in listening to what's been said. I knew very young, at 16 years of age.
Oh, dude, that's a long time ago.
When the world was still black and white. And
that's like Flintstone era right there.
And there were 2 channels on the television. But I knew back then, I had, it was imprinted on my heart, a calling, if you will, my purpose in life. And it's been true through every career change, through every different expression of how I've lived. And that is this notion of being able to impact the lives of other people, a calling of being able to really help people realize their full potential. And we were doing that through the business coaching. And really, when you began to have this kind of this internal, aha moment, and then began to share that, we knew right away, we were like, this is something very special, and the opportunity to impact our clients, individuals, strangers with this message that within you is everything you need in order to live a life that is full and rich. And that's really why I do it.
Yeah, I love that. I echo all of that. I think too, for me personally, I see this show in many ways as a light in the madness. You think of the crazy world that we live in, what's happening in the Middle East, what's happening in the Ukraine, the amount of division and hate online. We have never been more divided or split apart or splintered as a society. And for us to be able to bring a message of hope and life and happiness and joy and of community. I think to me, I'm very passionate about that. And I've always been wired like you, Rob. I learn a lot of stuff the hard way. I don't know about the rest of you. I have a lot of bruises on my forehead from running into a lot of walls. And it took me a long time to figure out what living your best life looks like. And I'm still figuring it out. But I am happier in my own skin now than I've ever been in my 53 years. That's less than you, buddy. So don't look at me sideways. That's still younger than you. And this is, for me, and it's passing it on. It's paying it forward. It's saying, if the lessons we've learned, the stuff we've been through, the stories we share, the guests we invite on the show, if that just inspires even one person to take a deeper look inside and say, there's got to be more than this, that we don't need to numb, run, and distract the rest of our lives, that we can actually craft a life that is meaningful, that's on point, that's our authentic self. Man, what the hell is that worth? That's worth a lot. And it's such an honor to be able to do that week after week with this amazing community.
So well said.
Yeah. And I think there is something, we've got a lot of former guests that have been on the show that are here in the audience today. And I remember, Susan Blaine, when she would dare to be vulnerable, and the conversation she had there, you go first, we go first, right? And that's really been something that we've desired to do as well, is every time when I'm just talking to people, and we've had people, we run into them in the grocery store or wherever, and they'll be like, you're from that podcast. And we're like, yeah. And then they start to share how what we have shared has given them permission to now be vulnerable, to be authentic, to be able to be open with the people in their community. That's what makes this so rewarding.
Yeah, so great. I was thinking too, another very selfish reason that I do this on a regular basis is it keeps me in the path of growth. There is something about digging deep, sharing your story. I think the world has lost a sense of community. I think the reason that we need and have turned to therapists, psychologists, and Matthew, tons of respect, but I think community has been lost on us, and we don't know how to share our story in a safe place. And as a result, we carry around so much shame, so much pain, so many heavy burdens, and we live a supposed life right, following the shoulds, musts, and have-tos of God knows who defined the rules, but we follow them anyway. And I think community like this, for me, sharing my story, being on the show, having these conversations with these three amazing human beings, and the guests that come on, keeps me growing, keeps me learning, and that is worth an awful lot as well. So it's what a privilege to be able to do this. Well, we want to turn to some favorite moments, but we've got a couple of folks I've asked to share. Where's Ray? There's Ray. Come on up, Ray. And Matthew, why don't you come as well? Matthew, you come on as well. But Ray, you've been tracking with us. You've been a huge supporter of the movement, and we're so grateful you're part of the community. What's it been like for you to be part of this movement?
Oh, huge. I don't know. Is this thing on? Yeah. Huge. So I'm going to take up the rest of the episode, if you don't mind, and just talk about me. My favorite episode was episode 8, Radical Self-Acceptance. And I have an issue with that myself. Forgiveness for me when I make a mistake. It's not something I'm constantly working on. What I really liked about that episode was when you were talking about selflessness and selfish. Mm-hmm. And I, as a marketer, think selfishness, we need to rebrand being selfish. Selfish, be selfish. Everybody be selfish. Put yourself first. Teach your children to do that, because if you don't, they will take a step back. And we want our daughters and our sons to put themselves forward, to respect themselves just as much as they respect other people. And this episode came out about 2 weeks after I had a very, very difficult conversation where someone said a lot of hurtful things about me to my face. I invited them to share their thoughts about me. And I was able to sit in that chair and hear all of the things they dislike about me and how I live my life and how they judge me for about 20 minutes. And I didn't take that on. And I had a boundary, and I loved myself. And I remember I thought about texting Wendy. I don't know if I did, but I wanted to say you would have been so proud of me today because of what I heard and didn't accept about myself. And then this episode came out and it just reinforced all of that for me. So
Amazing.
Thank you for the gift of reminding me how to love myself. And thank you to the two of you for cheering me on when I forget to cheer for myself, like I said before.
Amazing.
So
Thank
I love
you.
you guys.
Thank you.
Wow.
Amazing.
Thank you, Ray. For those of you hearing the message of the radical self-acceptance for the first time, when we talk about putting yourself first, it's because in most of our lives we put ourselves last. And actually, when you put yourself first, it's the least selfish thing you can do, because you show up more powerfully in every other relationship and in every other role you play in life. Thank you, Ray, for reminding us of that tonight. One of my favorite human beings. And we've only met recently. We met the first episode you came. I had heard so many great things about you. And Matthew, I have mad respect for you. What's it been like for you to be part of this?
It's been easier than getting this microphone.
Matthew Ripayoung, everybody.
I think the thing that I appreciate the most about the podcast really was the inception of it, and having three middle-aged white guys be able to talk to. Trevor made the joke early on, I can't remember what episode, but about the idea of men having feelings in plural, not just one. The one is maybe anger. I would add the second one, maybe sometimes we get, is chill, which is like so beige and neutral. It's like you don't even exist.
Right.
But to have people who are relatable, who are not the 1990s sensitive new age ponytail guy talking about feelings to men, to younger men, and hopefully to boys, it's really important, especially now. And I find a lot of the episodes, and also since Kate and Wendy have joined, maybe it's just what my ear is looking for, but a lot of it is a nuanced conversation about gender and gender roles and gender stereotypes. And this is so important now.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate all this stuff.
Yeah, right on.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on the show.
I remember the episode or the email that Matthew had sent us, and where he shared kind of some locker room stuff and everything like that, and it fired the two of us up. And even Steve was like, "Okay, you gotta slow down a little bit here," because we were just ready to go with this is what we're about. And we were so excited to get that episode out about what we were really trying to represent, and the influence. I don't know if there's anybody who has sent us more just feedback on episodes and cheering us on and really helping us out. So thank you to you, because you really do, you inspire us as well. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You.
Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Guys, favorite moments. What are some of your favorite moments from the show?
My favorite moment is I used to have a basement in my house, but it's now a podcast studio.
Yeah, it is.
So when we first set
It's a little
up
bit of job security for Rob,
story.
though.
when we first set up so we record in our basement, and when the time we set it up, both Steve, are you here? Hey. Both Steve and Eric are like, yeah, there's no way Wendy's going to let you keep it like this. We're going to have to tear this down and set it up every single week. And I went, you guys don't know Wendy well enough yet. And it was and sure enough, right away, she was immediately, yep. Now, I don't think she knew all that we were going to do. We've literally rebuilt the walls, and you can't get into our furnace room without climbing through
It's
little
really
cut hole.
it's perfect.
It's awesome. It's great.
Amazing. It's like
We like it.
It's like Tetris when you're trying to change the filter in the furnace, but it's
we
fine.
so appreciate you.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Thank you. No, we laugh about that, but thinking about where the podcast started, which was at the farm, and then so I think I can't even count how many times we've redone the set, and I think we're good now. I think we're good. But so that's super memorable for me. But then all of the fun that we have on the set, the amount of takes that we do sometimes. It's interesting because sometimes people say, gosh, you guys are just such naturals at it, and it looks like you have it all figured out. You have no idea what goes on behind the scenes. And my favorite time is 2:00 in the afternoon, because we've had lunch, we've been fed, we're good. Steve is now tired of our BS because now we're giddy. Nobody's listening. Eric's breaking out in his rap career that wasn't super successful.
No,
but I mean,
my rap career was short-lived.
Yeah.
Very short-lived.
But just all of the fun that we have on set, and some of you have heard some of the podcasts, the episodes where we've just, kind of gone off topic, but we love bringing so much natural humor and just laughter into what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. What my favorite moment, I said there's several, but three that I'll mention really quickly. Definitely.
Hey, in our notes, you said one.
Yeah, I was like, what?
I know, but I'm hosting, so I'm taking my liberties. It says one thing. I'm going to share them quickly. When the two of you joined the show, that was a massive upgrade to the show, and it led to the conversations going to a whole other level. Big round of applause for these two ladies. Favorite moment for sure. The launch of the 15-day challenge was a really cool moment. To be able to create an experience for people to figure out who they are, what they stand for. That was a really highlight for me. And I would say probably one of my favorites all time was the launch of The Nation on Facebook. And to see now nearly 800 people that are part of this group and this community supporting each other, loving on each other on this journey toward living your best life, those have been really meaningful for me.
Ditto. Well, it's true.
It's true.
And ditto to Wendy, too. I have so many. I found this question really daunting, to be honest, because there were so many. But I think for me, what has been so meaningful is when Wendy and I first joined, not knowing what it would turn out to be. And then we received, comments and feedback, and people were like, oh, this is great. And then we did... Oh. I got buzzed.
Somebody got buzzed.
And then we did an episode and we received more feedback and people were like, oh, we love the dynamic of you four. And then Wendy and I evolved and we did Real Women, Real Talk. And we had a really hard episode, and I won't name the episode because we received so much feedback and so many personal DMs from women. And I remember that so clearly, being like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, to know and to hear people share their story. They were so appreciative of the authenticity. They were so appreciative that they weren't alone. Yeah. And that was a huge moment for me. That's when I really hit me that this is a community. You talked about it. The Living Richly Nation is a community. And that for me is, one of the most powerful memories I have.
Love that. Love that.
I've got a couple.
Y'all allow you to.
Certainly, I think the first episode that the two of you did on your own, and I remember Eric and I sitting upstairs and just kind of just so proud and trying. And you guys, they'd set a rule: we weren't allowed to listen. We weren't alled to be downstairs. They kicked
told
us
them
out.
to stay upstairs.
Yeah, they were like, stay upstairs. And so we're like trying our best just to listen as much as we can, just because it was just, to your point, it really took this thing to another level. And
I think we were nervous we were going to be out of a job.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, people we don't need those two bozos anymore.
Yeah,
We've got
exactly.
these two wonderful ladies.
I think that was one. Another one for me was the Ben Bergeron episode. And for a couple of reasons. One was just because we were just starting to get external guests. We had Dr. Kelly Flanagan on already as an author. That was kind of our first introduction to somebody who had, written some books and stuff like that. And then Ben, who certainly has a big following and very successful, written a couple of books as well. And we were almost this nervous energy starting off that episode, and we dove into the episode kind of ready to go. And we were kind of like trying to just make sure that everything was going to go well and to try to improve it. And we were probably about 10 minutes into the episode when all of a sudden Steve kind of realized we hadn't been recording at all. and we had to literally interrupt Ben in the middle of a sentence and say, we're really sorry, but we need to start over at the very beginning.
That was some great practice. Now we're just going to do it over again, right? Yeah.
And he was very gracious with that and very understanding. And then when he talked about the mindsets, it's probably one of the tidbits from an episode that I use with my clients the most is getting into those 5 mindsets from victim all the way up to champion or warrior mindset. But really the idea, the part that was the aha for me was that the optimist is not the mindset we should be chasing after.
Right.
It's the realist.
Yeah.
And that's the next level up. And I have so just kind of, that constantly comes back to mind, realizing when I'm looking at something, it's not about always being positive and, oh, everything is wonderful and everything's going to be great. No, it's the realist of saying, regardless of what's going on, that doesn't change how I react in the moment.
Right.
And I think that's been one of the most profound moments.
That was a great show. What a funny moment that was.
My
I
God.
still remember. He was so gracious with us. The show's all about growth, right? It's all about transformation. It's all about taking control of your life. Not letting somebody else be the author, but you picking up the pen and authoring your own story. I've invited a couple of other great people to share some moments of growth and transformation. I'm going to ask Donnie Lachance, my good friend Donnie. And where's Julia O'Grady? Where's Julia? Come on up here, right? I'm going to ask Julia to go first. Let's welcome them. Yeah. So great to finally meet Julia in person tonight.
So amazing.
You have been a champion of this movement. She shares our posts out regularly. She points people to the podcast. She was one of the first beta testers of the 15-day Life Vision Challenge. We're so grateful for your support, Julia. Why don't you share with folks what this journey has been like for you?
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me here. I wrote mine out. I am not so good on the fly because I get too emotional. If anyone saw the video I posted today, I get really emotional. But I also run on, so this keeps everything under control. So the Living Richly podcast has been reaffirming for me that the desire for a more meaningful, intentional life is not only possible, but shared by others. It's helped me realize that I'm not alone in wanting more depth and purpose in my day-to-day life. What I love most about this podcast are the frank, real discussions. I've never been a fan of small talk. Listening to Living Richly feels like being at a party where everything around you is noisy and superficial. But then you find yourself at the kitchen table fully engaged in a deep, genuine conversation that matters. This podcast has given me the clarity and reassurance that those meaningful conversations and ways of living aren't just wishful thinking, they're real, achievable, and worth pursuing. It's inspired me to stay focused on what truly matters, even when the world around me seems distracted by things that don't. Ultimately, Living Richly has reminded me that I can live a life of purpose and connection, and that there are others out there on the same journey. It's made me more determined than ever to embrace those meaningful moments and avoid the noise.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Julia. Powerful. Donnie. Now, Don and I have known each other for longer than I care to say.
That's part of my story. So don't go telling it.
What's this been like for you?
It's been incredible. As Eric was just sharing, we've had a relationship for, I'll put money on longer than anybody else in this room, including his kids. I was part of his life, and as life unfolds, the relationship got fractured. He went his way, and I went mine. And it wasn't until I caught the 4th episode where he bared his soul, and I wanted that relationship back. So I plugged in to the Living Richly podcast and have been just absolutely blessed by the caliber of people who are showing up to tell their authentic stories, who talk about the real crap that unfolds in their lives and provides everybody else with the path forward. So you got friends, they're suffering in silence. I want you to know that. Share this podcast with them because it's life-changing. Thank you guys for everything you do.
Love you, bro.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What have been some, for you guys, we talk about the fact that the show is really a testimonial or a kind of a living story of what we're experiencing, how we're shifting, how we're growing, how we're changing. What have been some significant growth moments that this whole journey has provoked for you?
I mean, for me, one of them is definitely finding my voice, and the notion of, at 56, soon to be 57, and to recognize that most of my life has been spent letting somebody else tell the story that I'm going to live, writing it, and trying to fit in, and trying to everyone else, not everyone else, but many people basically telling me what I'm allowed or what I'm not allowed, and not having that authenticity in my life. And it's been interesting. My daughters are here tonight, and to see them, both of them right now are living in Kingston, and they literally drove up. They had to were working in school today. One of them works at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, so they drove from Kingston just to be here for this hour, hour and a half, to head back to Kingston afterwards. And they've experienced it probably more than anyone. If you're a regular listener, you know I've shared about this recently, is just the idea that what they received was the little of me, the last of me, after everybody else got their piece and everybody else was able to, and I really did not show up with any sense of authenticity to them. And instead of and the regret and everything that I've experienced as a result of that, and to have them, and they've lived their lives in the spotlight because of as your kids, right, which I know are also here, but they've lived it, and to be in a place now where they just simply love me and accept me and allow me to be me, and to love them and to be a part of their lives in that way, is just more than anything else I could possibly say. Living richly and learning to live my best life has brought me into a different type of relationship with my girls than I could ever imagine. They are absolutely everything to me, and I love the fact that they're here today. So
amazing.
I love you guys.
Amazing. Wow. And brother, to watch you grow and come into what you described, I've been watching, we've watched it, and it's amazing. It's amazing to watch when someone comes into their own and figures out who they are, right?
I can go.
Okay.
We play this game all the time.
Who's going to go next?
Who's going to go next? For me, it's similar in a way, and it's all about, I really feel living richly has almost helped me stay on track of living an authentic life. That's the best way I can put it. I'm in my middle lane and I'm tracking. I decided 3 years ago to really sit down and think about what I want for my life. I had never asked myself, what do I want? Which seems ridiculous at, 45, 46, 25, 26.
They're just numbers.
But I hadn't. I'd never taken the time. And so, talk about a mini 15-day life vision challenge. And I wrote it all down. And the next year I had achieved almost everything on that list except for one thing, and there's the power of vision. And I wrote down my values, and I just got really aligned with how I wanted to live authentically. But what no one tells you about living authentically is that it's really hard. And there's a lot of days where, Eric, you touched on supposed life, and I feel like I'm in this lane, and then all of a sudden someone makes a comment, or I don't know, something happens at work, and you end up veering. I'm not in this lane anymore. Oh my God, I'm going back over here to my supposed life. And the people and my family and living richly is what brings me back to that authentic lane. For me, it's community, it's support. It's knowing that when I veer off, I'm veering. Okay, I'm not gonna stay there anymore. I'm done staying there. I'm done living that supposed life. So for me, living richly is it's really embraced me in a big hug of authenticity, and I'm very grateful.
Yeah, love that. Beautifully said. Wow.
Beautiful. Ditto. No, I think mine is tied very similar into what both of you shared, but I would say this has impacted my personal growth, and I've been on a personal growth journey for the last 5 years or so, even obviously before Rob and I got together. This has helped me level up my life and help me be able to embrace vulnerability even more. And to your point about staying in your lane and living, the life that you so want to choose, but it has allowed me to heal in ways I didn't even know I needed to be healed. And when you are going through the motions in life day in and day out, and you want more from life, but you know that it's just there's so many steps to take in order to get to where you want to be. But then the other side of you is nothing changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I knew 5 years ago that I had so much else that I wanted to do. And so I stopped saying yes to the things that weren't serving me. And it was hard. It was really, really hard. I lost a lot of friends. I had a lot of people, commenting on, who does she think she is? I still struggle with imposter syndrome a lot. And kind of going back to when we started on, it looks easy, but all of us struggle with a lot of the things that we talk about on the show. But I feel like I've given that gift of honesty and authenticity to my daughters as well. And in ways that sometimes they understand now, sometimes they won't. Yeah. But showing them that you can live in whatever path and go in whatever direction you want, and be able to level your life up however you want has just impacted me so much.
Yeah, wow.
And the help from all of you as well. I owe so much to the blessings of being able to sit up here with all of you, because you have helped me grow and heal in ways that I'm forever grateful for.
Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. My kids are here tonight, and I'm so grateful that they are. My daughters and their wonderful husbands, and my daughter.
Two husbands.
Two husbands, yes. Two husbands now. That's two weddings. Sorry, I better clarify. So my eldest Rachel and Kyle got married October of last year. My middle daughter, Gabby, she got married to Ryan just not that long ago, August, in France. So that's two weddings in less than 10 months. And they know me in this capacity from a different world. And we were joking around before the show that I had paramedics on call in case they go into some kind of trauma response or PTSD response from seeing their old man in this context, in a very different context, but similar context.
Don't stand up and start. Yeah,
I'm not going to stand up. I'm not going to take up an offering or do anything like that. But so thank you for being here. It means the world to me that the four of you are here tonight. For me, I think the biggest, when I was thinking about this question, it's been about finding forgiveness. And finding my power. I've lived most of my life helping other people, and I've shared this openly on the show. Most of that work, I meant it. I've been wired from a young age to help others. It's just who I am. But so much of that throughout the course of my life was trying to right a wrong. If I did enough good, maybe I could right a wrong, and the right or the wrong I was trying to right was me. I lived most of my life with lots of shame, deep self-loathing, and to come to a place of forgiveness, I didn't need it from anybody else. I needed it from me. And I'm so grateful that I've experienced that. And to then find my power where I don't shrink back. I don't need to apologize for being me. I don't need to apologize for how I am, who I am, what I want, what I do, that I can just show up and live my life and hopefully make a difference. That's been the two greatest impacts of this whole journey for me. But so much more we could share, right? So much more we could share. But it's been a journey. Looking to the future, what can people expect to see from Real Women, Real Talk? What's coming down the pike?
So much.
It's a secret.
It's a secret. Tune in to find out.
Are we supposed to share? Is that what
what do you see coming down the horizon?
I think we see lots coming down the horizon.
Yeah.
Kate
and I have an enormous passion for kind of how Real Women, Real Talk has taken off. We both feel very strongly that there is a lot of raw, unfiltered, undiscussed topics that we just absolutely love bringing to light. And, we feel that creating that sense of community and really sharing openly, which, again, there's a lot of podcasts, there's a lot of books, a lot of stuff out there that kind of glosses over I think that there's just so much opportunity for us as we continue down this path to bring so much of those topics. And we get messages all the time on, suggestions and ideas on different types of topics.
100%. And we want to hear more ideas from our female listeners. We want to know what you really want to hear. What are those conversations, you're not hearing? What are the conversations we can have and bring to the table? We really want those conversations to have impact. For Wendy and I, those are very meaningful. All of our conversations are, but there's something about Real Women, Real Talk that is really connected to our hearts. And so we want to know more from all of you.
Yeah.
So message us, tell us.
Yeah, share. It's been so amazing to watch the growth and the momentum behind those episodes.
Yeah.
And so much so that it inspired Rob and I, among other things that were inspiring us to do this, to start the Mindful Masculinity series.
Yeah, and I would say this just before I talk about mindful masculinity. The Real Women, Real Talk isn't just for women.
No.
And I think that's one of the most important things. We used to joke with Steve because Steve was, we were kicked out of the room. Steve was there when they were talking about like everything they talked about when it came to women and some of the struggles. But every episode he'd be like, man, I learned so much today that I appreciate. He's got a deeper appreciation for his wife and for some of the maybe struggles or some of the insecurities and things that she's dealing with. And I think that's the only concern I've had always with whether it's Real Women, Real Talk, Mindful Masculinity, is we're not doing these episodes with the notion that, okay, only women are listening to these episodes and only men. No, there's so much that we can learn. And some of those are probably some of the best episodes for those of you that have a significant other that you might sit down and listen together and even have and explore and have conversations around them, because I think there's so much good that we can learn about one another. And I think,
well said.
So when we came to Mindful Masculinity, again, this was the idea behind this right from day one. Was we were not interested in bashing masculinity. In fact, we very deliberately, with the very first episode, chose not to use the language of toxic masculinity. That's not what it's about. It's about encouraging men to embrace the fullness of what it means to be human. And to be able to embrace all of what that is, the tough, the strong, the vulnerable, the emotional, and to be able to bring all of that together is absolutely critical. And the next episode that's coming out on this series is probably the one I'm most excited about, because we bring Dawn and Matthew in, and we really just sat back, wound them up, and let them go.
Yeah,
and
they just cut those two loose.
They just went. I had a chance. I edited the episode today. And probably in the top 2-3 lines that we have now embraced, that Matthew said during that episode that you're going to get to hear when it comes out is, do you remember it?
We're not going to leak it here. You're going to have to tune in and listen.
Look at you. I was going to leak it.
I got to show restraint.
All right.
They need to hear it from his lips, not mine.
He was fired up, and he got us fired up.
Yeah.
But it was the notion of one of the other things that I did appreciate with that was the idea that the episodes, what we would love to tell our younger self. And I loved one of the things that Matthew said is we don't need to just try to teach young men how to be men. We need to start communicating with boys.
Yeah.
On how to be men, and to start leading by example of what it is to be a man who embraces vulnerability, who can cry, who can feel, and can also be a protector and be strong on all of the range of emotions. And that's why I'm just so fired up for where we're going with
I can't tell.
I'm going to take up an offering.
I think you just might. You're the one who's going to give my kids a PTSD response, not me.
But I love that you mentioned how mindful masculinity isn't just for men, and Real Talk, Real Women isn't just for women.
Absolutely.
Because, you guys have been together a couple of years. Rob and I have been together a couple of years. Obviously, we just got married. But this has been just wonderful, even from a couple's perspective, to really help build, and we get questions like that around couple stuff, and we've done quite a few couple episodes, but for me personally, it's helped me be able to communicate and understand you better and continue to keep that open and to continue to grow with that. And I just find I love those mindful masculinity episodes because it really helps shed some light in terms of who are you?
And one of the things we've talked about doing is actually having some of these conversations, continuing to do shows where it's the two of you talking to women, us talking to men, but also having some real women, real talk where the two of us are present
Absolutely.
to bring our perspective and vice versa, right? To kind of evolve that even further. So we're excited about that. Else in the future, maybe some more events like this one. Would you like to see this happen again? Yeah, who knows, right? Something I'm really excited about is my book. It's in the works. The Quadrant model that you've heard us talk about on the show. This was what emerged for me out of my second Great Awakening in 2022 when I came out of a very dark time and led to the conversations that sparked what we're seeing here. So I'm excited about, there's some more thinking that needs to go into it. There are more people I need to talk to, but I look forward, and we'll let you know when that's going to be ready, but look forward to seeing that come forth in the near future. Guys, before we wrap up, final words to our audience, final words of thanks. What do you want? Final words, what do you want to leave with our audience with tonight before we wrap up the show?
I just want to do a round of thank yous. I want to thank my kids who are here, who are teenagers who probably want to be anywhere but here. But thank you for being here.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Mom, for making us come.
My kids, plus Nicole, who's like my bonus child, who's here as well. It means so much that you're here. I love you. You are my heart.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't go on. No, I can't. It's just very meaningful to me that they're here.
Yeah.
We can edit this, right?
We can fix anything in post.
I do want to thank Eric's kids, too, who are here. Thank you. It means the world to your dad that you're here tonight. My friends who are here, thank you. Friendships are ebbs and flows and ups and downs and seasons. I'm very, very lucky to have an amazing group of women in my life that I'm very, very grateful for. I want to thank my Bold Lip fam who's here.
Yay.
I don't know if you saw their shirts, but they're pretty.
They say, it's a
awesome.
shirt says, I love KV, Kate Bolton. It's like the Kate Bolton fan club. It's amazing.
It's pretty cool. Not only did they sponsor one of our sponsors tonight, you have undeniably supported my passion projects. From Living Richly to Get To Mindset. It's not every day you get to work with fun, creative, intelligent women, and I'm very, very grateful for that. I'm excited for what we're building and where we're going, and I love that we're showing and continue to show the world that you can have a successful business that leads with empathy, and when you work 4 days a week, I'm all down for it. So I think it's great just to continue that. So thank you for all your support. Living Richly Nation, this wouldn't be what it is without all of you coming tonight and your support. And so for me, to meet some of you in person today was just really emotional, clearly, for me. So thank you. And I want to personally thank Steve. There he is. Steve's the kind of quiet guy literally in the corner right now.
He's the hero behind the scenes that makes this engine churn. And I'm glad you said that because I think... Can we give it up for our producer, Steve Warren, Capital Podcast. You are the man.
You are the man. And then I certainly want to thank the three of you because there's no other three people I could imagine doing this with. It has been an amazing, amazing journey. It's a very safe space that I cherish. And I can't wait to see where we go.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I don't know if I can top that. That was beautiful, Kate. Truly, it was beautiful. similar to what Kate said, if it wasn't for all of you carving time out of your evening to come, listening to the podcast, helping us grow the community, sharing, caring, it's just, we are so immensely grateful because if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be here. Steve, we absolutely love you. You have the patience of a saint. We honestly, we could not do this without you, and we just appreciate you so much. To my Orange Theory crew in the back, I am immensely grateful to have you here tonight, to have you help me change lives. To my husband, who has walked some of the journey with me and who has helped me grow in ways that I never thought that I could grow. I put up a Facebook post a couple of hours before this because we had conversations eons ago that one of our dreams together was to share a stage. And to have this here, to have that opportunity with you, as well as with you guys, is just beyond. And to my parents, who have walked me through and been by my side in some of the darkest times in my life, who have always had my back, who have always cheered me on, who have always made me laugh, who have listened to the podcast, have shared their thoughts, have shared some of their awakenings that they've had as well. I would not be here if it wasn't for you. So thank you.
Boy, this is like
I know.
sappy now.
It's getting really emotional.
Wow. I mean, I remember. Do you remember Steve sitting down with you and me very awkwardly over lunch? We were taking a break when we were still recording at your place, and he was stammering around trying to figure out how to say it, and then finally he goes, "So, where are you guys going with this thing?" And we were even kind of curious as to what he was like, are you going to commit to this? Was like episode 27, 28.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you going to, because he was about to invest some money in some equipment. We were his primary video. He does a lot of podcasts, but we were primary video one. And the willingness to invest in us, but he wanted to make sure, are you guys committed to this thing? And we were like, Steve, go buy the equipment.
Go buy the equipment.
We're
We're
into
here.
this. We're good. And it's been just amazing to see. And I just very much, again, thank you so much to all of you who take the time to send us messages, to send us, to comment publicly, to share out episodes. You met Julia. Julia earlier, my days are blurred today or yesterday. I think it was this morning, was texting me from an event that she's at where she's like, oh my God, this would be great with Living Richly. And I just love that you're thinking about it and you're doing it. And that's so meaningful and it's so appreciated. And I just so appreciate when we get those comments. One of my core values is community. And I so deeply it is something, and those of you that have listened to my story or know anything about me know that hasn't been a part of my life. A very broken family and with a lot of trauma and stuff. I didn't have that. And when I'm drawn to community, and Wendy's already mentioned the Orange Theory community. There are so many Orange Theory members here today, and I think it's just so exciting to see so many of you here, how much that means us. Most of you were in a class today doing a workout, and now you're here tonight doing this. And I know you're doing it because you're afraid that Coach Wendy's going to make you do burpees tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. Those 20 burpees are going to be nasty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But just to have that community, and it's just so appreciated so much. Wendy mentioned her parents. I have never had anyone in my life that I could call dad until dad. And I do call him dad. And I do it deliberately and I do it meaningfully because I want that relationship, and I never did have a father in my life until now, and I so embrace every moment I get to do and experience with him and with Mom. I had an incredible mom. My mom was my hero, and to now have another mom who is in my life is so incredible and wonderful for me. I've mentioned my girls already. They're here tonight. I know that Tyler, my son-in-law, couldn't make it because of work, so he's not here, but Becca, Brittany's partner, is here as well, and for them to make that effort and to be here is just so incredible. I just love them so much. this crew is so incredible, and I, again, like they've said already, I can't imagine doing this with anyone but you guys for sure. This woman who has allowed me to be the man that I am, and to allow me to grow and discover and be vulnerable, and just accepts me and encourages me and is the biggest cheerleader whenever I share anything with her about what's going on in business or anything like that. She is right away just cheering me on and just really believing in me. And I want to say really with Living Richly, my business partner. Eric has been a guy that we have been in relationship with for way too long, for a lot of years. And he was the guy who reached out to me in 2012 and asked the powerful question, have you ever thought about coaching? And we began the journey professionally together. I shared this in an episode that's coming out soon, the impact that he has had in my life. He is legit. What you see in front of the camera is exactly who he is behind the camera. He is when there's no cameras. He is absolutely a guy who lives his life fully, authentically, and I inspire. And when I grow up, I want to be just like him. So I appreciate so much him. But I love you guys, and I absolutely love you. So.
Wow.
Okay, way to make it mushier.
Right, like you were complaining, it's getting emotional. I'm going to wrap this up. Folks,
please don't wrap.
I won't wrap because that'll really end the show really fast. But folks, to those of you that are gathered here, friends and family, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. To those of you that are tuning in, to our larger Living Richly Nation family on Facebook, to our 76,000 plus subscribers on YouTube now that follow the show, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for helping us spread the Living Richly message. And as we always encourage at the end of every show, if this has been a meaningful experience, if the show is helping you in your journey, then please share it out. Like and subscribe so you don't miss anything, but share it out on your socials. Encourage other people to tune in. Make sure to check out our website, livingrichley.me, where you're going to find out all the information about the Living Richly Nation if you're not already part of it, and where you can also sign up for that free experience, the 15-day Life Vision Challenge, where you can start to create the life that you've always dreamed of. Folks, as we wrap up the show today, a big thank you and I want you to give yourselves, a huge live audience, a huge round of applause for being such a great audience tonight. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, get out there and live your best life.